My name is Quinlivan, and today I will be talking to you guys about the proposal for my research project. The project is going article is going to be written on the automation of the minimum wage employee and universal basic income. Some of the topics I will be covering in this article will be how automation is taking over the minimum wage jobs, how this affects the job market as a whole, why universal basic income, also known as UBI, is the hot way to fix it, and how UBI and means tested benefits differ and are similar. Why UBI will not be successful, and what option would be the most successful option for us. The purpose of the article will be to show how automation is taking over, and universal basic income is not the solution to the problem we've created. The audience is going to be the target audience is people in their early 20s to late 30s that are tech savvy and can kind of see where the job market's going, and will be the people that will be voting for the politicians that would eventually be having to deal with this problem. The mode is going to be a news article for a website like The Verge, which is a tech website. And the style, I'd like to keep it casual and lighthearted, because this topic gets kind of very doom and gloom when you start talking about basically hundreds of thousands of potentially millions of people being out of jobs, and how we are going to still make it so they can survive and have, a roof over their heads, food on the table, clothes on their back. So I'd like to keep it more lighthearted, so it's an easier read where people don't just get real down as they're reading it. Like I said, the first topic is going to be how automation is taking over the minimum wage jobs. I mean, if you just think about it, you go to Walmart or HEB. If you are here in Texas, you know what an HEB is. It's just a big grocery chain. You always see almost every time the checkout that is backed up the most or has the most people at it is the self-checkout. So every time you're using the self-checkout, you are basically eliminating the job that once was a person. Also, there's a lot of restaurants you go to now, like you can literally just place your order on a touchscreen at the table or through your phone, which the pandemic has kind of accelerated that. That is taking out another person's way of making money. Even our trash trucks, I see my trash truck go by my house once a week, and it's one guy in the trash truck now instead of it used to be like a crew of 2 or 3 guys, because that one guy can drive around in the truck and control the arm of the truck and pick up the trash and dump it in the trash truck and then take off. All these jobs are they're the easiest jobs to be replaced with technology. How this affects the job market as a whole, it does create new jobs, because obviously all that technology is going to need to be maintained and taken care of, and there's an infrastructure that comes with that. So that'll all be new jobs created, but those jobs aren't the type of jobs that the high school college student would be working, that was working at, say, McDonald's or a restaurant or at the grocery store on their part-time job, just to have some cash in their pocket to pay for like their food and stuff and go out to the movies or whatever. It also doesn't change that there's some part of the population is just, they're not equipped to be able to understand how to do those type of jobs or have access to the type of training to get to do those type of jobs, or even if they did, they don't have the ability to learn that type of job. But you're still taking their job away by replacing it with the technology. Universal basic income, also known as UBI, is been kind of a hot topic of discussion, because a lot of people realize that with all the automation that's going on, we're heading towards an end if you just keep letting companies try to become as efficient as possible, which is obviously not paying an employee, just paying a machine to do it. That eventually you're going to have a lot of people out of jobs. And the way universal universal basic income has been brought up by very prolific people in the tech industry, all the way to celebrity podcasts. Like if anyone's ever heard of the Joe Rogan podcast, he's talked about UBI numerous times on that podcast. So a lot of people think it would work, and I'm going to go on to explain the differences of what we have now and that, and why I don't think it will work. The biggest difference between UBI and means-tested benefits. Means-tested benefits are basically, your food stamps, your unemployment checks, stuff like that. The difference between the two is UBI is universal for everyone. Everyone gets it. It's a set amount of money that everyone gets, whether you're rich, poor, middle class, indifferent. Everyone gets it, and you don't have to do anything to earn it. You just get it for existing in the country. Obviously, as most people know, to get unemployment, you have to be unemployed and actively looking for a job. So you have to, one, meet a criteria, which means you're usually a person that's in need. And also, you usually have to meet a criteria of you are at least trying to find work. So that's the big difference between the two. Both are similar in somebody has to foot the bill for that. That has to be bankrolled by the government, and the tax-paying people, usually the more fortunate, are going to end up footing the bill for those that are less fortunate. There's been a lot of studies that even just having that safety net of the social products we have, both have caused the drive to find work to drop, because people are like, well, if I can make this much money by not working, why would I try to find a job that basically makes the exact same amount of money and I have to go to work? And UBI obviously is going to drive that down, because you're like, well, I could just stay at home and do nothing and collect this much of a check. And both cause people to become dependent on the government, which is, in my eyes, never a good thing. Why UBI will not be successful? The biggest thing is, one of the biggest things is, like I said here in the slide, is it has the same problem with raising the minimum wage. They raise the minimum wage $15. Well, guess what? McDonald's doesn't care. They're not going to cut into their profits. All they're going to do is pass that buck along, and now you've just raised the price for everyone for your Big Mac. Your Big Mac was $5, now it's $12 because they're paying a McDonald's employee $15 an hour now. So all you've really done is raise the poverty line. The other biggest problem is, how could we ever afford, the government ever afford? I mean, our government already works in the negative, as we all know, but it would immediately add a huge negative to the budget every year. Another problem that a lot of people don't think of is, if everyone's getting the same money, the same amount of money doesn't work for everyone in different parts of the country. Yeah, you can give a set amount of money for someone living here in San Antonio, and they can get by and have an okay life with that. But if you give that same amount of money to somebody living in San Francisco, they're going to be on the streets, because the cost of living is so exponentially more in that part of the country. So how do you justify giving somebody this much money for here and the same there? That's another part of the problem. And then another thing that's going to make a lot of people mad is, how do you justify just leaving people on a permanent vacation and they just get to keep collecting money for doing nothing? The option I think would be most successful is you would have to put into a federal law basically saying companies will not be allowed to operate as efficiently as possible, because for the greater good of the human race, you have to keep enough jobs to keep people employed. And you basically have something very similar to affirmative action, where you have a set percent of entry-level jobs and jobs throughout the whole company that have to remain human jobs. You cannot replace the humans with machines. You can replace some of them, but not all of them. And that would make sure that the minimum wage employee does not disappear. So thank you for listening to my proposal. I hope you all have a great day. Thank you.